Hello. All right, let's see if this works. I keep getting kicked off. So if you can see or hear me, let me know. We made it past the 10-second mark. I think that's a good sign. Okay. So hopefully you can see me. Hopefully you can hear me, and this is working well today. I'm just going to turn the volume up a bit. There we go. Awesome. Welcome. Thank you. My guest speaker for this week, unfortunately, came down with cold and flu. So yeah, that's okay, because that's what this time of the year brings a lot of. So I'm filling in this week. And if we haven't met before, we haven't chatted before, welcome. I'm Katie. I am a holistic nutritionist, and this is my group, which I hope you love. I'm so happy that you're here joining us. I work really hard to share lots of good information and, really build a safe, supportive community for you ladies to be in. So that's really, really, really important to me. A little bit more about me. So I am a holistic nutritionist. I'm so passionate about food and nutrition and just the huge impact that can really have on our bodies. And how I got into fertility, my husband and I tried to get pregnant for about 2 years, and very unexpectedly we had problems. It didn't go anything according to plan, anything of how we thought it would. And as I'm sure a lot of you know, that is an extremely difficult journey. It's not something that I wish on anyone. It's not something I hope to have to go through again, but we'll see. I do have a wonderful 1.5-year-old daughter right now, so she's great. But we, our family's not complete. We do want more children. So hopefully moving forward, things go a little smoother. But we'll see what happens. I'm sure I'll keep you in the loop with that, because that's what this group's all about, and it's about becoming a community and sharing our ups and downs, and different things that worked and all that sort of thing. So yes, welcome. And going through my journey, I mean, like I said, it was so unexpected. It was so overwhelming. It was super lonely. I didn't really talk about it to anyone. There was very, 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 very few people in my life that knew that we were going through this. So it was, incredibly isolating. It's amazing how this journey changes your relationships, not just with your spouse, with your husband, your significant other, but also with your family members and your friends, and your social life changes significantly, I find, when you're going through this, and when we were going through this. So that's so difficult, and there's so many emotions and so many ups and downs that come with this journey. And and part of that is just, especially as women, like, this is a natural process. This is what our bodies are built to do, is reproduce, right? So when your body doesn't do that, there's such a feeling of, defeat and anger and disappointment and frustration and grief that comes with it, because you feel like a failure. Like, this is like the one thing I'm supposed to do and I can't even do it. So what's wrong with me? Like, all of these negative things go through your head, and totally legitimately, especially if it's unexpected and, something that caught you off guard. There's a lot of things to work through there. So, that's crappy. And that's what this community is there for, is to support people going through that, and to, help us not feel so alone, and to help, have that support and grow your confidence, because this journey can be super deflating on your self-confidence, which is no good. So, if you feel like you are starting to really lose yourself in this journey, and, fertility can be an extremely time-consuming and life-altering, your whole body is consumed, and your whole life is really consumed by this journey. So, if that's how you're feeling, then know that you're not alone. I think a lot of us feel that way. If you're watching this, whether you're watching live or the replay, feel free to comment in the comment section. That's a pretty familiar feeling to a lot of us. And it's crappy. So we're here to be supportive and just be honest and real about it, and then try and find the good stuff in it. And, I want to help you, give you the tools and educate you on your body and how things work and, why things might not be going the way that you thought they would be or how you think they should be, and what things you can do to change that and the importance of the things that you do on your health, on your fertility, on the future health of your children, right? So, that's why I'm here. And today, I wrote a blog post on this a little while ago, so I just wanted to, just moving it over, just wanted to go through that a little bit with you today, and talk about, really the huge importance of your health preconception for yourself, but also for future generations. And that, apart from the fertility in my own experience, that's another huge part why I do this, is I really believe in healthier communities and building a healthier and happier life, or if you want to combine it like I just try to happier. So, and I think that starts really from preconception health, because our preconception health has a big impact on our fertility. It has a big impact on our pregnancy. And, a lot of studies are now showing that it has a huge impact on the future health of those children, not just when they're born, but their long-term health as well. And, that's crazy to think about. It's really hard to wrap your head around those things, but, it's something I'm really passionate about, and I want to give you the power to make yourself healthier for the long term. So this isn't just about, getting to that goal of getting pregnant. I mean, it is about that, but it's about so much more than that, right? Because, from even my own personal experience, I know that you get so consumed by it and get so immersed into the fertility journey that you think, if I can just get pregnant, then everything will be better and everything will be okay and I can move on. But that's not the case. The reality is that's just unfortunately not the case. When you get pregnant, it's great, and there's all these feelings and emotions and things that come with it, but there's also a lot of overwhelm and stress and fright, because now that you're pregnant, you think, gosh, now I have to keep this pregnancy and I have to keep this little person healthy, and I want to give them the best life that I can possibly give them. And there's all these other feelings that come with it. So yes, you might have achieved that goal, but it's only the next step in this journey, and this journey continues. And some people have a really smooth pregnancy and some people have a really, really difficult pregnancy. And after going through that fertility journey, the last thing you want is to have this crappy, miserable, in and out of the hospital or whatever happens to be, super stressful pregnancy, right? And then after that comes the baby, and postpartum depression is a very, very real thing. So, I strongly believe that the more that we can make ourselves healthier and get ourselves in the best place that we can, the more these other things are going to fall into place. And, the better our fertility is going to be, the better pregnancies that we're going to have, the better our postpartum experience is going to be, the better parents that we're going to be, and therefore the healthier communities that we're going to have, right? So it's really all connected. So, all right. So when we're talking about nutrition, when we're talking about health, when we're talking about fertility, taking preventative measures and knowing the importance of fueling your body before baby is conceived cannot be overstated. It just really can't. So, if you're thinking, but if the baby isn't even created yet, what does the health of my body have to do with it, right? I know a lot of people look at me crazy when I say these things, but it's really important to remember that little human is created from your egg and your spouse's, or wherever this is coming from, sperm. These two cells in your body create that little human being. And everything that you put into those, and your pregnancy creates what comes out at the end, is this little baby, right? So I forgot my water in the other room, unfortunately, so bear with me, but it takes approximately 3 months for those cells to mature and to be released. So the health of these cells is largely important to your health and fertility. If you haven't read the book, where is it? Here. I have lots of fertility books here. I'm doing lots of reading lately, but if you haven't read this book before, it's called It Starts with the Egg by Rebecca Fett. I definitely recommend it. It's got lots of cool information. I don't agree with 100% of everything she says, but I agree with a lot of it. So really starting with the egg health and the sperm health, the bare bones is really, really important. Especially if you've had miscarriages, if you are having trouble getting pregnant and you don't know why, starting with egg and sperm health is really, really important. You want to, like I said, also remember that as a woman, these tiny little people, this little baby is taking up residence in your body for 9 months. So it's really, really important that that home that you're creating for them is in the best possible condition that it can be in for that baby to get the best start at life. Because, the last thing you want is to have a baby and there's something, a little bit off, or they're sick or something happened, and you don't want to feel that guilt. You don't want to feel that blame that, gosh, there was something else I could have or should have done. You don't want that. Like, I guarantee you just don't want that, right? So, more and more research is being done on the importance of healthy preconception body for healthy pregnancy and baby. Now, traditionally, preconception diets have been used for many, 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 many years, like hundreds and thousands of years throughout the world. In some cultures, women aren't even allowed to get married. So therefore, in these cultures, they're not even allowed to have sex, and that's not even, the possibility of creating a baby is not even on the table until they've been eating certain foods and living a certain way. It shows that they like the importance of this and how they know that. And this has been happening for hundreds of years. This is not a new thing. So my goal is really to not only help those struggling to get pregnant conceiving, but to ensure that women are taking care of themselves. We want to feel strong and empowered and confident in our decisions because, this journey comes with a lot of unknown, and it comes with a lot of people telling you what to do, and you just saying, yep, okay, sure, if you think that's what's best. And that's not a very good feeling a lot of the times because, you don't feel like you're in control anymore, and you're just following what everybody says, and you don't really know what's going on, and it's really deflating some days. So, I really want to make you healthy, but I want you to feel empowered and in control. So establishing proper preconception bodies is really the ultimate form of this preventative health and preparing for healthier communities and long-term health for your kids as well. So research has now shown that healthy bodies before pregnancy can reduce the risk of low birth rates, as well as your baby's risk for diabetes, stroke, heart disease, cognitive issues, and lots and lots more chronic health conditions as they grow older. So this is really, really interesting if you think about it, because a lot of times when a baby is born, a lot of people, the first thing they say is, how is the mom and baby doing, right? How are they? Are they healthy? Are they good? And if that baby's healthy and the mom's healthy, everyone's relieved and happy and all is well, right? But what they're saying, what these new studies are showing, is that your health before that baby is even conceived, even if that baby when they're born looks healthy, we're talking about their long-term health. When they're in their 60s and 70s, are they at a higher risk for heart disease? Are they at a higher risk for diabetes and stroke and these cognitive issues? Maybe when they get to school age, maybe they're having behavioral issues. And unfortunately, some of this really just goes back to preconception health. So why wouldn't we make the changes? Why wouldn't we make these things that in a lot of times can easily be shifted if we think that that's going to give a more positive life for our kids, right? So, and not to say that that's like going to fix everything 100%, but the chances is there, and studies are showing that it does have an impact. So, for me personally, like, anything that I can do to make a healthier environment and a healthier life now and in the future for my kid, I'm going to do. Absolutely, right? So, for more than 2 decades, prenatal care has been a cornerstone for improving pregnancy outcomes in the U.S. Absolutely. So the best time to begin these changes, really is today. Today. Just start today. There's no time like today to start, right? We just got to make the decision and do it. Now, when I'm working with clients, I minimally recommend that you start 3 months before. And the reason for this excuse me, is because it does take 3 months for your egg and sperm to mature and to develop. So yes, this is really important for you as women, but get your spouses on board if you can, and get them doing some of these things as well, because you're only 50% of this puzzle. So, if that's an issue, if they have questions, if they want to chat, if you want to bring their questions to me, I'm happy to chat with them or answer questions. I know men can be a little bit more stubborn and challenging that way, but I'm happy to include them, and maybe we'll even consider adding some of them to this group. Who knows? So, don't forget that these two cells, the egg and the sperm, are your future babies. These are their beginning. This is their DNA, and everything that makes them who they are as a baby on the day that they're born comes from those two things. Super powerful, guys, right? So by the time that you realize you're pregnant, some critical areas of the baby's body have already been well started and already been well on their way. So during this time is when the baby and the mother are the most vulnerable to the negative outcomes. So things like neural tube defects can happen within the first few weeks of pregnancy. This part of the body is one of the first to be created, and it closes up very quickly in the first few weeks. So, a lot of us don't know we're pregnant in the first few weeks. So making sure that we have the proper nutrients, and in terms of neural tube defects, we're talking about folate or folic acid. Folic acid is the synthetic form. Folate is the more natural form. So if you know that you have the MTHFR mutation, then you definitely need to be taking the methylfolate version of folic acid. Get rid of folic acid, get it out of your diet. You need to be taking methylfolate. If you have unknown fertility, if you have had a lot of unknown miscarriages, then you need to be switching over to the methylfolate version of folic acid. And I'm going to type that into the comments. So that you have the name of it. And that's because of this MTHFR gene mutation. And it's, folic acid, like I said, is the synthetic version, which you can take, but then when you take it, your body needs to recognize it. So it needs to recognize it, and then it needs to change it into the methylfolate version. And with this mutation, your body has a really difficult time doing that. So it's not in a usable format. So if you're just taking the methylfolate version, then it's already in the active usable form, and you don't have to worry about it so much. So if you have things that are unknown, if you have things that you're not so sure about, like I mentioned, then taking that methylfolate version is really, really important. And I'm just going to pop on here quick, because it's not showing me any comments or anything, including the one that I just typed in. So I just want to see if you guys are on and chatting. Oh, yeah. Hold on. It's making me go to the Facebook app to read my comments. Oh, Erica. Hi, Erica. And Jenna. Okay, Jenna, let me see this. How can we encourage our family to adopt healthy lifestyles long term? It's easy to get them on board when eating healthy, even though they hate it, when it's in the name of making a baby, but long term they think, what's the point? It's tricky. It's so tricky, Jenna. I don't, yeah, so here's the thing. I think sitting down and talking to them about, some of the things we talked about and what these studies are showing, is really important for them to get a better understanding of what might be going on and why it is important. And then really sitting down and talking to them about like really, why is it that they're not making these healthier choices? Because, I know Sarah Best talked about, she was one of our guest speakers about a month ago. She talked about, we know that some of the food that we're eating is not good for us. We know what healthy food is and and that we should be eating it. So I think getting down really to why aren't you making these changes? Why aren't you doing this? And maybe it's because you just don't know. You don't know what you should be eating. Maybe you don't know how to make that transition. Maybe they think that healthy food tastes bad, which is so not true. So if that's the case, I've mentioned to people before, like figuring out what types of flavors that they like is always a good place to start with. So let's say that they like, Mexican food, like tacos and such, right? So then you can think, okay, so they like those sorts of flavors, that flavor profile. So let's see, healthier foods. We can have, healthy versions of tacos, lots of vegetables, right? Lots of whole foods. You can put beans and all this delicious stuff on a taco pretty easily. And, especially with Mexican flavors, they're quite potent. So it's easy to hide some of those other things that might be healthier that we can add in. Avocado is so, so, so healthy for you, especially in the fertility journey. So, that's part of like the Mexican profile in a lot of ways. In terms of like North American Mexican food, I guess is what I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm not meaning to offend anybody. But then we can go to things like, the cooler weather's coming. So soups, you can make like a taco soup or Mexican inspired soups or, taco salad or all of these different things, right? Casseroles, and skillets or stir fries. So ask them what kind of flavors they like. Ask them, or maybe already, and start with that and kind of work with those things and just Google it. Google and see what you can find with those flavor profiles and start incorporating them very slowly, if necessary, like one a day or, even one a week or two a week, and just seeing what you can do. And, the more you include good food, the more the bad food's going to fall away. And then, then you don't have to feel guilty about when you have a snack. Like last night I had book club and they had a Halloween theme and she had, spiderweb brownies and pumpkin cupcakes and all these things, right, that I like never eat. And I loved it. It was so good. The whole house smelled delicious and I indulged. I can't lie. I totally did. But I don't feel guilty about it because that's not something that I normally do. And I know that most of my food choices are super healthy. And, all day I ate really, really well and had all this, vegetables and nutrient-dense food. So when I had a few treats here and there, it's okay, right? So being kind to yourself, and then, just those other things that I mentioned. So hopefully that helps. Let me know. Why? Okay, so then she says, let's be honest. It's dear husband. His thought process, why do I need to eat strictly clean if I'm not housing the baby for those 9 months? Yeah, so the reason is because his sperm is 50% of it. That's half of it. And I think that he needs to understand that, right? So just break it down to the simplest forms. In order to make a baby, you need an egg and a sperm. 50-50. And, you can eat perfectly healthy all throughout your pregnancy. And that's really, really great. Not knocking that at all. I totally recommend that and think it's great. But more of an impact on the future health of your baby is that preconception health and the health of your egg and your sperm. Because that's where it starts. And that is the DNA of your child. So maybe talking to him about it in that form, maybe that would help. This is going to be, this is a recording, so you can watch the replay of this if you want. Whatever you think will be helpful. If there's anything else I can do too, Jenna, just let me know. Okay. Jenna, that makes me resent my mom and her eating habits that could have now caused my fertility problems. I know, and I don't want that. And I don't want this to come with resentment and guilt and all these things because, we can only do the best that we can do with the knowledge that we have. And, things are changing a lot. And the lifestyles and the diet and the environment that we lived in, that our parents lived in is so far from the same as what we're into now. And the knowledge that they had then is not the same as we have now. So yeah, we can't have resentment. They did the best that they could for us in the time and in the environment that they had and the knowledge that they had. So we have to be okay with that. And, say moving forward, even though you're doing all these things, that doesn't mean that your kid's going to be 100% healthy and not have, any issues, right? So you just have to think that you're going to do the best that you can for your future children, and you don't want them to have that resentment towards you either. So yeah, you just got to know that you're doing the best that you can and that your parents did the best that they can. And that's hopefully helpful to move forward. Okay, so hopefully that helps. If you have any other questions, anybody, just throw them there in in the comment section. Flavor profile is deep fried. So you know what? Maybe try some roasted vegetables and roasting things in the oven, because yes, deep fried. There's really no way around that. I don't know if I can think of anything that would directly replace that. That's a tricky one. But maybe it's like the crunchiness that he likes. So maybe go with roasting things in the oven, vegetables, or you can make your own potato chips in the oven. Just slice them really, really thin. Coat them in some good quality oil, some sea salt or whatever flavor, again, profiles that you like, and toss them in the oven. And, that could be a fun date night even, right? And experimenting and doing these things. So, maybe use these things to be good bonding. But yeah, that roasting things is really good because it will help caramelize and make things crunchy, but also sweeten them up. So I always love roasting, especially at this time of the year with, root vegetables, potatoes, any of that sort of stuff. So maybe try that out. All right, I'm just going to open this up here and hope to keep it refreshed. I feel like I got a private session with you today. Thanks for all the advice. Oh, yes, no problem, Jenna. No problem at all. And yeah, thanks for joining on live. It's, that's what I'm here for, and I want to answer your questions and have these discussions. So yeah, no problem. And anytime you guys have questions, just ask. Like, I love answering your questions, and it's helpful for me to know where you're struggling, and then I can give you the information and help provide resources and such that will help you, because that's what I want to do, and that's why I'm here. So yeah, awesome. Okay. So moving forward, another quote that I wanted to share with you is, it says, the quality of a woman's diet during pregnancy has an influence on positive fetal and maternal outcomes. Therefore, a healthy, balanced diet is important before as well as during pregnancy. Let me read that again. The quality of a woman's diet during pregnancy has an influence on positive fetal and maternal outcomes. Therefore, a healthy, balanced diet is important before as well as during pregnancy, right? So a lack of nutrients in a woman's health can also cause issues with things like placental attachment, which can cause all sorts of issues. If it's not completely completed, so if the placental attachment is not completed correctly, research has actually shown a link to an increased risk of preeclampsia for the mother and preterm births for babies. And preterm births, if you don't know much about this, but they can actually cause a lot of issues. You don't want a baby being born earlier or before they're ready to be born, right? So there's lots of other issues that come with that. You want them to stay in their little home for as long as they need to be in there and as long as possible. So yeah, we don't want any preterm births. And then placental problems can also have negative effects and impacts for the future health of the baby and may lead to chronic health issues again, right? So we really want to be making sure that we're just doing the best that we can for ourselves. And maybe that sounds selfish, but it's not. It's not at all. So if you're completely immersed in this journey and you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed out and like everyone's telling you what to do and you feel like you're losing your sense of self, then take a deep breath. And sometimes you just need to take a step out of that. And sometimes you need to just say, you know what? I'm going to focus on me now. And I'm going to give me all of the self-care and all the love and everything that I want right now, within a reasonable respect. But, maybe you're just going to take time out and participate in a vacation. Maybe you just need to go away on vacation and just not worry about things for a little while. I know that even from personal experience, it's never going to leave your mind. It's always there. When they say stop trying, that's so much easier said than done. I know that. I totally get that. But sometimes just having those other distractions helps a little bit. And it helps the stress levels in our body, if you need to go away on a trip, whether that's, to, sunny Jamaica, or whether that's, to a friend's cottage for a weekend, or, whether you just say, we're not doing any housework this weekend. None. We're not doing any work. We're just doing what we want to do. And maybe you go and be a tourist in your own town, whatever that needs to be or whatever that looks like for you, taking a break and saying, you know what, I want to start doing yoga every week, or I want to start, running, or I don't know. I'm doing swimming lessons right now. So maybe, you're going swimming or whatever works for you, whether that's exercise. Maybe you're like, I'm going to start eating healthier, and I'm going to start learning a little bit more about how my body works and how cycles work and what's normal and what's not, and why PMS maybe isn't normal. And maybe these things that I'm having are common, but they don't need to be happening. So how can I fix that? Maybe I don't need to be taking all of these drugs and medications. Maybe I do, but maybe I don't. Maybe I'm going to take some time out and do some research and educate myself a little bit more on this so that I can move forward feeling more confident and stronger in my position and in my decisions, right? So it is really essential that we focus on improving our health, overall health, and properly balancing out our body systems before conception. When our body systems get out of sync, stress on the body increases. So we talk a lot about stress when it comes to fertility, and a lot of people say, stop stressing, and you just want to punch them, right? It's like the worst thing they can say. But it's important to remember that there are certain areas of stress that we can control. We can control things, not everything, and you're never going to be able to control everything. Excuse me. And that's okay. Some stress is okay in our life, but figuring out what things we can and cannot control is so key. So, if we can get our body systems back in balance, if we can figure out where some of those hormone issues are happening, if we can start giving ourselves really nourishing, good food that our body recognizes, our stress is going to start decreasing right away. If we're decreasing that inflammation in our body, our stress is going to start decreasing. Physically and mentally, right? Those are two different kinds of stress, but there's a lot of physical stress that we put on our body, whether that's excess exercise, whether that's a lot of junk food, a lot of prepackaged processed food that our body has a really hard time dealing with and figuring out what is this, what am I supposed to do with it? And, maybe it's eliminating all those toxins from our system that are in our home and in our environment. Maybe that some of those things we can work on reducing, right? So there's a lot of ways that we can reduce stress that are manageable and more hands-on and maybe a little bit easier than when we first do it, because the mental aspect of stress is way harder. Absolutely. Absolutely. So working on some of these other things that we can do. So make a list if that's helpful. But stress, when it comes to stress, it's really important that we decrease it for many, many reasons. But one of them is that it really quickly decreases the essential nutrients in our body, right? So a lot of these issues that we've talked about have been shown to increase the risk of pregnancy complications for the baby and mother, which can have negative long-term effects for both. Okay, so starting off with healthy bodies can also help decrease the risk of complications in your pregnancy, including weight gain issues, gestational diabetes that goes along with weight gain, hypothyroidism, etc. There's all these issues that come up that a lot of them are completely connected to diet and lifestyle. So the more that we can get a grasp on this, have a better understanding for it, and get in control of it, it's just going to make a huge difference in our lives long term and short term, right? So, weight gain issues, gestational diabetes, hypothyroidism, preterm labor, early births, all these things can really be improved through good diet, good lifestyle changes, and proper supplementation. So another quote that I'm going to share with you, it says, furthermore, so several studies have shown that most women of reproductive age are not getting enough vitamins, vitamin A, C, B6, and E, folic acid or methylfolate like we talked about, calcium, iron, zinc, and magnesium in their diet. And a lot of these nutrients, I should note, will be quickly depleted with the birth control pill as well. So if you've been on the birth control pill for a long time, go and talk to your doctor and ask them if they will run nutrient testing for you and get as much information as you can, because some of these are directly linked to fertility issues. Directly linked. So how frustrating would that be if you've had all this trouble getting pregnant and it turns out all you needed was, a little bit more vitamin D in your body and higher levels of B vitamins? like, especially if you've spent thousands or hundreds and thousands of dollars on all these treatments and medications when all you needed was a good quality vitamin supplement, right? So go and talk to your doctor and just talk to them and see what kind of nutrient testing they'll run, and take anything that they'll give to you. Is what I would recommend. Vitamin D is a really, really important one. Depending on where you live, it may or may not be covered. Here in Ontario, unfortunately, that's one of the few that are not covered by OHIP. But you can ask your doctor to recommend it anyway, and it would be, I think it's about $20 or $30. It's not super expensive, but that's definitely one that I would get looked at. I think it's 90% of North Americans are low in vitamin D, so a very, very good chance that you will be low in vitamin D. However, vitamin D can be toxic in high levels, so you do want to check it before you start taking a supplement, but the more information that you can get, the better. So another quote that I'm going to share with you. It says, maternal pre-pregnancy weight is a significant factor in the preconception period, with underweight contributing to a 32% higher risk of preterm birth, and obesity more than doubling the risk for preeclampsia, gestational diabetes. Overweight women are more likely to undergo a C-section delivery, and their newborns have higher chances of being born with a neural tube or congenital heart defect. Among nutrient-specific interventions, preconception folic acid supplementation has the strongest evidence of effect, preventing 69% of recurrent neural tube defects. Multiple micronutrient supplementation shows promise to reduce the rates of congenital anomalies and risk of preeclampsia. So again, making sure that our bodies are just topped up on our nutrients, making sure that we're nourishing our bodies can just have like these huge drastic effects, right? So please do not underestimate the power that you have in your hands to change your life and to change the life of your future children. So ensuring that you're receiving the right nutrients, ensuring that you're living a healthy lifestyle, healthy diet, exercising, positive mindsets. I mean, honestly, you can change the world when you think about it. If you're giving your children and yourself, and probably your husband, if he's living with you, he's going to be kind of forced into it, these opportunities, then really like we're changing the world, right? We're making healthier, happier human beings. So they have a huge impact. So don't underestimate it. And like I said, if you have questions, let me know. I'm just going to check again. I wish it would come up on my screen and show me, but it won't. The prenatal vitamin that you recommended, does it have all the necessary folic acid, folate? Yes, Jenna. The one that I recommend to a lot of people, the NFH brand, does have the methylfolate in it. It's NFH. I will actually add a link to that in the comments when I'm done here. So that one does. The other one I tend to recommend is what's it called? Oh, darn blank. It'll come to me. I'll post it too. It does not, however, have it in, but it is overall, besides that, a pretty good prenatal vitamin. So if anyone is looking for prenatal vitamins, I'm happy to make recommendations. I do have my own online dispensary as well that, in full disclosure, I do make a little bit of commission off of, but it's totally up to you where you order from. It doesn't bother me one bit. But if you do want help with that, then let me know and I can send you a list of recommendations. And if you do choose to order through my online site, then it can get shipped right to your door. So really, really helpful. And then you're not out searching the aisles of which one you're supposed to have, because it can be very confusing and overwhelming. So yeah, if you have any other questions, let me know. I'll probably pop on again tomorrow, because I told you Thursdays I pop on and do live. So today I'm just filling in for the guest speaker, but tomorrow I will pop on and do a regular live. And yeah, looking forward to chatting with you ladies a little bit more in the future. Okay, bye. Have a great day.